What's good? What's good? What's good? What's going on with y'all out there? So we have another paid request. You did. I don't know little folks' name, but we'll just call you Lil T. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect or whatever. And the first joint that he wanted me to talk about, y'all know how I feel about it already. CLB, Drake, Certified Lover Boy album. Even though it's doing crazy numbers, it's been number one again on the charts for however many weeks, and it was cool, you know what I mean, that he does his numbers. But the thing that I didn't appreciate about the album is like that's not the Drake that I know. It was an easy album. It was nothing creative about it. It didn't even give me no kind of nostalgic feel. It was just basic. The actual album cover after weeks that it's been out, it's like art. Some artists, I forget the name, definitely created it for him. It's kind of lazy though, in my opinion. The original album cover definitely looked much better. It could have just had the as you see right there in the beginning of the video, the CLB. That just would have been dope, you know what I mean, if he did that. I mean, it was a lot of tracks. I'm not getting into all the tracks. Y'all already know the track list, but I did walk away with a couple tracks. Starting off the album with Champagne Poetry, which was fire. At first I'm listening to the album, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, all right. Then that beat switch happened. I thought that was dope. You know what I mean? So this is me listening to the album since it's been out up till now. I wasn't feeling the entire body of work, but a couple songs did grow on me. So Champagne Poetry is fire. I fuck with Freddie Gibbs' version though. That was pretty hard. No Friends in the Industry, of course, which that's just a hilarious record, in itself, because how he says no friends in the industry, but he works with who he work with. They my brother, they my family. So I thought that shit was dope. Love All, of course, the Jay-Z record. Hov did what he did. In my opinion, I'm going to say he's kind of taking little shots at Dame Dash. I know he just got, Hov got entered to the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he kind of gave Dame Dash a shout out or whatever the case may be. So they kind of cool. It seemed like, or they working on that. But to hear the verse, I definitely feel like he was talking about Dame a little bit in that verse. Drake, it was cool, but I mean, I like the first record they did on Drake's debut album. I thought that was like the best song, that collaboration they ever had. And Pound Cake as well. I thought that was pretty fire as well. In the Bible featuring Lil Durk. And who else on this shit? Hold on. I don't want to play it and get flagged and shit. Lil Durk and Giovanni. Durk verse was straight. And I was surprised at that because I was like, after their first collab, I was like, man, Durk didn't even finish his verse. So what this song gonna sound like? And of course, Durk plugged this girl, which you gotta love that shit. And shit that Durk been going through in his relationship lately is crazy. But y'all be jumping to conclusions, boy. But anyway, You Only Live Twice featuring Rose and Ross. My bad. Rose and Wayne. Now, the song when you first hear it sounds dated. Let's not sit there and cap and act like it doesn't, because it does. You know what I mean? But can we just talk about how Wayne just gave us another phenomenal verse and just totally destroyed this song like Jesus? Ross was cool, but he's been lackluster. Drake, surprisingly, when I heard this shit, and I remember listening to it, and I was like, wait, why is nobody talking about the Swiss Beats diss? Because everybody else talked about Kanye disses and shit like that. But when I heard the song, I'm looking on Twitter like, damn, nobody talking about they didn't catch the fancy bar, like nobody understood that. And it's like motherfuckers forgot that Swiss Beats did say what he said. I mean, it was not that long ago before this motherfucking album dropped, but still, I just thought that was crazy. And then I'm watching reaction videos, nobody was catching the Swiss Beats bar. It's just like, god damn. And that I'll leave that for another day. But his verse is fire. But Wayne totally destroyed this song. You know what I mean? Poppy's Home, I know it seemed like it was kind of blase blah, because ain't no grown man call another grown man Poppy. You know what I mean? But it was cool. It just basically telling the industry that I'm here, y'all my sons. Remind me of Nicki. Matter of fact, speaking of Nicki, wasn't Nicki on the end of that song, if I'm correct? But she didn't really say anything, kind of like a little interlude or whatever, but that was cool. I Miss You Too featuring Kid Cudi. I was surprised that Cudi made the album, seeing how he dropped Two Birds, One Stone, which is a phenomenal record still to this day. I still fuck with that record. You Was the Man on the Moon. Like, I'm not gonna get into the verse. I ain't gonna get into the verse, but that shit was crazy. It was all right, but Cudi just should stick with Ye because they make better music. This song was cool. but I only like it because Cudi was on it. To me, Drake didn't really, he didn't do much on the record. You know what I mean? It was all right. Fair trade. I fuck with it. Travis Scott did what he did on it. Some say that Travis Scott kind of finished Drake on this song, but I ain't gonna roll with that. I think Drake definitely had the better verse on this shit. I like the hook a lot too. Seeing like a fair trade to me. That shit catchy as hell though. Of course, TSU was one of the songs that leaked. And I remember when I first heard this shit, and I was just like, oh shit. Now that song right there gave me hope that if Drake getting in his little R&B bag, you know how he get in his R&B bag, that this album could be fired. But being honest, if you go back, at least with me, he has better girl-orientated records than most of this shit on here. It's just so lackluster, and they sound like fucking throwaways from that mixtape he put out. But TSU was one of the ones I was happy to see that I was like, okay, that's one of the leaked songs that made the album, and I was fucking with it. Raise My Mind was another song on here that I fuck with, and it was cool. I mean, it's just that it gave me hope when I'm listening to it. Like, okay, I can see myself getting into this. And the more I listen to it, it's like, it's not the best of the songs when you talk about females, but it was decent enough for me to where it's like, okay, I can replay this shit again. Pipe Down, I definitely fuck with that. Like, that hook is just crazy to me because it's just like really telling the female, like, damn, what more do I got to do just for you to shut the up? Like, what more? Like, what else you want from me? I gave you this, you got that. Like, shut up. But at first, I was like, pipe down. Is he talking about smashing a chick? It could be a double the way Drake does records and shit like that. But I was just like, fuck with that hook. Soon as I heard the song, like, that's probably off this album. That's definitely one of my favorites. You know what I mean? Now we get into 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. One of my favorite. This and the one with Ross and Wayne is probably my two favorite joints off here. But the way he did Ye on this song, and I still feel like this to this day, Ye has to respond to this. It's just crazy. Soon as the beat kick in, it's crazy. Go Squad. Now I'm saying, is he saying Go Squad or Go Squad? But it's just like the bro opened up this song, and it was just from beginning to end. Damn, I was like, Kanye, nigga, come on, bro, you gotta, you gotta answer that. That boy said, get an address to your driver, make it your destination instead of a post out of desperation. Like, what? Nigga. Crazy, bro. I listen to this every day, nonstop. You know what I mean? Because it's just, the beat is so just elegant, and the way he rhyming, and once he give you a time and location type song, it's over with. It still ain't the hardest out of all of them. My favorites is 5 a.m. in Toronto and 9 a.m. in Dallas, and 6 p.m. in New York. But this one is up there because it's like, yo, you have to respond to this. If I was in Ye's circle, I'd be like, bro, you ain't gonna pay no attention to this song? This is crazy. Like, lyrically insane. And people always talking about Drake can't rap. Y'all be tweaking, folks. But the last song that I messed with, of course, the last track on the album, The Remorse, which I didn't think Drake even have no remorse, but it's kind of a great album closer in a sense, though, if you really look at the way Drake does some of his last albums. Do Not Disturb is probably my favorite album closer from Drake, you know what I mean? But this was close in a way. I mean, the beat was good, the piano, I definitely like that, his rhyming, but the way he's rapping on this album, sometimes, I don't know where he got this flow from where he'll be rapping and he'll stop. It's like he punching it in. And I'm like, I'm not feeling that flow. And that's the only problem or at least one of the problems that I had with this album is this, it was no passion, it was no hunger, it was easy, for him to just do shit like this. And most of it sounded like throwaways from that mixtape, like a Dark Lane demo tapes. A lot of these songs seem like that was supposed to be for that project. And that project seemed like it was supposed to be CLB, but it didn't turn out that way. But, I mean, overall, if people fuck with it, it ain't no classic. I don't know why people call it a classic. Y'all need to stop that shit. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers talking about, oh, Scorpion actually fired. No, it's not. It's not. More Life. It's cool. It's not all that either. You know what I mean? We all know the last great Drake project, but they say art is subjective or whatever the case may be. So some people could feel this a classic. Some people could feel Scorpion a classic or More Life, whatever you want to call it. To me, last great Drake album, Views, and I barely even was fucking with that then, but looking at it from longevity point of view, yeah, that's the last album that was fire. So overall, in my opinion, these are records that I took off Certified Lover Boy, and I'm hoping, since I think I seen something where Drake signed Geechee Gotti from URL, whatever the case may be, he got a good writer in there. So I'm expecting Drake's next project to have some good bars in it. But other than that, it was cool. It was whatever it was, you know what I mean? But it's no classic in my book. It's not an album I'm always go back to. The songs I mess with is the songs I mess with, and that's just that. But shout out to a bro that asked for the request, or pay for the request, whatever. And that's just my thoughts on CLB. Better late than never, I guess. But y'all out there, have a safe weekend. Have a great week. I'ma holla at y'all. One.